Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I get a lot of people who ask me, you said Brittany's doing some extra accessory work and you guys are working on her lower body and stuff a little more now, so what exactly are you doing? And so we decided to film one of her accessory workouts today. So as you guys can see, she kind of does right now like a kettlebell deadlift, which again, she does almost sumo. And one of the things we're noticed now that I've experimented around, looked at stuff, and I've realized Brittany has, number one, really, really long femurs. And she has a slightly unusual hip bone structure, and meaning it's unusual in the sense that only about 10% of the population have a structure like that. And it's one of those things that means that we've got to start adjusting her stance. And by the way, yes, I know that she started really far out on that first one. I'm trying to get her to work on that. But yeah, she had that one out. First rep out a little far when she approached it. I'm trying to get her to get used to starting with it further back. But that's okay. It was the first rep, and this is relatively lightweight. So we do these kettlebells, and it's usually about 3 sets of 8, sometimes 3 sets of 10. But I think 8 is fine. There's no reason to really go much over about 8 reps on anything you're going to pull directly off the floor. So yeah, she does these, and this is one of the things we're doing to work on her mobility so that she gets used to squatting down, because she struggles with squatting, and part of it has to do with her hip structure and everything else. And at this point, she really needs more lower body development. We really need more glute, more quad. So we're doing a lot of extra accessory work here, things that aren't as taxing, so that she can start adding extra muscle mass to those regions. And we can't do that purely with deadlifts, and particularly not with her, because a lot of the work she does, she's standing. And just like now, she lost a bunch of weight in the last couple of weeks during the hurricane because she got stressed by the hurricane. She didn't eat. She didn't really train during that time. And, she wasn't eating because she gets stressed out. She gets really stressed about stuff like that, and then trying to help friends and all this volunteer work she's done. She's lost a little bit of muscle, detrained a little bit. She's lost fat also. So we're trying to just come back in and do extra volume on extra days in between the real workouts, the heavy workouts, with accessory work like this, that we can work on her weak points, work on her mobility, things that will actually work her quads, her glutes, everything else. And so yeah, you'll notice she has to do the really wide stance on the leg press also. And again, a lot of it comes down to again, her own mobility issues and issues we have with her hips, and it's been a problem as far as rehabilitating a lot of that stuff for her, because when I went on my first date with Brittany, I was holding her hand, we were walking, and her hip popped out of the socket. So we've gone from her having hips that kind of pop out of the socket, even when she would walk sometimes, to being able to deadlift and leg press and things like that. And now we're doing those kettlebells, and we eventually want to get her over to squatting. But a lot of it has to do with understanding her unique hip structure. So I can't put her on some normal cookie cutter type programming for stuff, because we have different mobility issues that she has to deal with as a middle-aged woman. She has a slightly unusual bone structure. Again, long legs. But the long legs can force you to have to take a wider stance on certain exercises. And then her hip structure also with outward turning hips. And again, if you guys see any of the data and studies that have been done on that, that actually the angle of hip joints varies massively in the human population. And she has the ones that just come out really far. So what we're learning is that she just handles everything with a wider stance much, much easier. And normally I don't recommend the sumo deadlift. I don't like ultra wide squats, but it looks like because of her structure, that's really the direction we need to go. Just because she has mobility issues otherwise, she can't go full range of motion on anything with a narrow stance. Like, we just can't do it. We can do it if she puts on like 4-inch heels, but she can't do it flat-footed at all. But she can do a lot better with a wider stance. Just like you guys saw pulling that kettlebell, she's almost hitting squat depth. She can't do that with a narrow stance at all. Even generally with box squatting, it became almost impossible. So it's stuff we're having to work on. And so this is just an accessory day. We're doing the kettlebell work, we're doing leg presses, she's doing lat pull downs. Everything that she's doing today is an accessory or an assistance exercise for the squat and the deadlift. Now, some people would say, well, why these lat pull downs? It's extra grip work and it's extra upper back work. All right, and what I would remind people, most of your grip strength comes from all your volume of pulling. Pulling volume is what builds grip strength. The best thing you can possibly do to build your grip is to just do everything raw with no straps. so that you build up grip strength through volume. As you guys can see there, she's obviously leaner because she lost, again, some weight during the hurricane and everything. But, you know, some of it has been muscle. So she, like I said, she dropped 10 pounds in about 2 weeks. And then also the same thing, all the different, she's helped a couple people go and gut their houses. A friend of hers, for getting to eat, doing stuff like that, doing volunteer work. Some of the volunteer work that she's done, like the haircuts and stuff, were late at night. So it's kind of messed with her pattern again. So now she's getting back into a normalized schedule. And we're like, okay, we've really got to work on rebuilding your strength, rebuilding your muscle. She's not getting as much freelance work right now, purely because we just got hit with a major hurricane here. A lot of people don't have money for their normal stuff, their hair and all of that stuff. A lot of people lost their homes, money's flowing less, some businesses are really struggling, so her freelance and all of that isn't going to be as good. So she's got more free time to get in the gym. We're going to work more on a little bit higher frequency, higher volume training to bring her legs up. And since she needs to, again, up her calories a little bit again, because she lost weight due to, you know, the stress and all of that, going to up her calories, we're going to increase volume and use that to get a little bit of an anabolic rebound and put some muscle on her lower body. But everything she's doing here is an accessory for the squat and the deadlift, and I very well think we're going to have to lean in the direction of taking her over to a sumo deadlift. I'm not a fan of the sumo, but at the end of the day, guys, people have individual structures, and she has a slightly unusual structure that lends itself to that. So that's the direction we're going to have to go, and here she is doing her standing crunches. And again, like I always tell you guys, standing crunches are the way to go if you want to improve things like your deadlift. If you want to build core strength for these things, standing crunches, fantastic. Planks and things are good too, but again, specificity of training, standing on your feet. So that's what we're doing here. And so that's what I have her do. And again, this is just, like I said, an accessory workout, and we'll start filming at least one workout every week, maybe that Brittany does, because I've given you guys one of my workouts every week on camera lately. And I think we'll come in and get one of her workouts just randomly in every week, so that you guys get a little bit of different footage. People can kind of follow what she's doing, follow her progress. As she's kind of rebuilding some of this stuff, and we're going to see what she can do as we start bringing her stance out, see if we can get her actually squatting, even if it's doing box squats for now. See how she does with a wider stance, either a sumo deadlift or a hybrid deadlift, because I had her grab a bar just with 95 pounds on it to see how sumo felt, and she's like, wow, this actually feels easier in my hips than the conventional deadlift. So, okay, like I said, I'm not normally a fan, but for her specific needs, that's the things you have to look at. And you know, people need to remember that. A lot of times I tell people, most of you are not a unique snowflake. You're not a special snowflake. 90% of people out there who don't have a health problem or an injury or some anatomical difference don't need a special routine or a special program. You don't. You really don't. And it's kind of funny that I say that so much, because it's true, but you know, 10 to 15% of people do. And it's not that everyone is different, it's that a few people are different. And in this situation, my girlfriend Brittany happens to be one of those people, so I'm having to write something that's a little bit unique. So that's what we're doing. And again, you guys can kind of follow it here. People were curious what she's doing, and I just wanted you guys to be able to see it. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.